Welcome back to Endurance Sports and a reaction video to a water bottle video, which I thought was going to be a mundane topic, but apparently it stirred up some conversation, and that is why I post videos. So let's talk about a couple of the things that came up. Michelle, who is a local lady, and I haven't seen you in a while, so you need to stop by my shop. But anyway, she mentioned a few things that I thought were really interesting. The Zephyl water bottles, yes, they used to have a 1 liter bottle. And you know, Zephyl is a French company, so I guess for riding on the French countryside, they want a liter bottle. But I haven't seen those in a while, so if anyone knows a way to get those, that'd be cool. So that's 33 point something ounces, so just shy of the 38 ounce bottle. She also gave the spec on the SIS bottle, which is 950 mil, so just shy of 1 liter. Okay. With the further bottle, she did pay attention, and you know, let me see if you can hear this. So that's the membrane, as Jay Howard called it, that's in here. So it has a membrane or a diaphragm, whatever, but you can't open or close this spout or this lid. So as I mentioned before, as you pull it out, you sometimes will squeeze some fluid and it gets on your hands. If it's just water, it's not going to be a problem. As I mentioned, I put anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 calories per bottle. So my stuff is a fuel, sugary type of product, right? So that's really the only knock I have about this bottle. And because it's a proprietary lid, I can't swap out this lid for one of my lids that can stay open the entire time. She also mentioned the backloader. So, I mean, she must be reading my mind. I do have a video in the hopper for the backloader bag. And just a sec. So it's right here. I'm not going to use it for this event, but she mentioned the wishbone, and the wishbone keeps the bag from swaying back and forth, and it has 2 bottle mounts on it, one on each side. So yes, it's a great item, and you're planning a bike packing trip, Michelle. So if you get this bag and that wishbone, I mean, that gets you a lot more fluids because, as you mentioned, you can't put something in your seat tube bottle cage. So yeah, there's a video coming on the unboxing of that bag. Someone mentioned the clean bottle, and if you were watching the tour during those years, you had the clean bottle guy running up and down on the Alpine passes, which had, you know, in a clean bottle outfit. So brilliant marketing, right? And then thank you, another fan, for the metric system. It's just so much more precise, right? 7/64ths, it's just silly. Another person mentioned that you want good flow out of your bottle so that if you get some chasing dogs, you can squirt them. And that's a very nice way to get a dog away from you. It doesn't hurt them. It's just a little bit of water in their face. But hey, I'm a traditionalist, and so that's what the frame pump is for if they get too aggressive. But it made me think of something else, and it'll probably end up as a today's cycling tip type of thing. So today, I mean, it rained literally 36 hours, and we got out on a ride today. Lots of puddles, lots of rushing water across our roads, and so there's a lot of spray, and it comes up. And you see the bike is dirty. So your bottle's sitting here, you get all this spray. And when it's a day like that, I always take the bottle, squeeze it, clear out the valve area, and then take a drink. So maybe that's something you can do. When I did Trans Iowa, in 2009. We went through a lot of farm areas, and they talked about how you can get bacteria or something from the farm drainage or whatever. And I was worried. Trans-Iowa was a 320-mile unsupported gravel event. I just didn't want to get sick. So, I mean, I was just spraying anything, because you pull the bottle up and you could just see stuff sitting on top. So just squirt it out, and then before you take a drink. That should be a tip. And the last thing I want to do is talk about some suggestions that some folks made. One gentleman, I think it was Alex Johnson, there's a 3-liter container that'll sit here. So remove these 2 bottle cages, and then you strap it in place, and low center of gravity. I like that. 3-liter. There's a couple of things I don't like about it. First of all, I've had a similar product. It's called Speed Fill, and I was a beta tester for it. Probably 2007 or 2008. As a matter of fact, if you go onto the Speed Fill site and you go through the installation pictures, those are my hands. That's me putting on a Speed Fill on one of my bikes. And I was on a Cervelo P3. The designer of that was a triathlete, and he wanted to carry 2 bottles, but most tri-bikes only had 1 bottle cage mount. And so he couldn't get enough fluids for an Ironman. And he hated the fluid sloshing around in the front where the aero bars are. So he designed a similar system to this crank tank, but it was only 40 ounces. And with most of these tri-bikes with only 1 bottle cage, well, that increased the volume almost double than what they could have carried with the stock setup. So I've used a similar system to that crank tank, smaller, 40 ounces. And living with that was a little bit of a pain, because you have the hose that comes up to your mouth. You have to keep that clean. You have to keep sanitizing that, because you're putting sugary drinks in there. So for me, and Alex, thank you for the suggestion, but for me, the bottle is a much more practical setup. I can go to any gas station, sink, fast food place, run in, grab what I need, and get back out. And if I want to change what I'm drinking, it's a very simple transition. Okay, I had a fuel in this one, and now I just want water, or vice versa. It's just much easier for me. And this is, I appreciate the suggestion. It just doesn't seem to work for my needs. Then there was some confusion about having space limitations. And my apologies for not doing a video of what I was talking about, because maybe I didn't describe it well enough. So that's kind of, we're on YouTube, so I should be doing a video about it. So what I was saying is that if I ride my Bianchi XR4, which is a carbon frame, and this is a little bit of retro grouch, but everything in the carbon world is, let's shrink the triangle, let's shrink the rear triangle, let's lighter, stiffer, blah, blah, blah. So what happens is you lose a lot of volume or capacity inside your main triangle. So you can see the 38 bottle fits there just fine. But when it goes to the back cage and you put it in here, this is what I was talking about. If you can come a little closer, maybe they can see it better. So what happens now is it's to one side or the other, and I got to push it down, but then you hit a pothole and boom, it pops back up. So now I have to pedal bow-legged on whatever side, left or right side. And it's yeah. So this isn't the right bottle for the rear. So I use the SIS bottle, boom, no problem, fits in there just fine. And I guess there was some confusion about, oh, well, you could just remove your frame pump, but I can't use a frame pump on a carbon frame, right? That's another problem with carbon frames, retro grouch talking. So I have to use a mini pump. Now this is a Hygiene mini pump. If you could swing around this way a little bit. So it's in here, and I love these because it actually has a hose that comes out like, I don't know, 10 inches or whatever. And then you're able to screw it on to your valve, and you don't risk bending your valve or breaking your valve. Okay, so on the carbon bike, smaller triangle, that doesn't work. But on my steel bike, by the way, these are both 55 centimeter frames, right? That's the size that I ride most of the time. So this is my 55 Ritchie, no problem, right? I don't want to leave my frame pump at home, but I don't need access to this back bottle. Like, I really don't. The last 2 Saturdays on just a standard 26-ounce bottle, I didn't even finish the first bottle on 6, 7, 8-hour rides. I just don't drink that much. I had my little Rev sandwiches that I call them. I kept myself fueled. We stopped at one place. Excuse me. It's time. I stopped at one place. We drank a Coke, but other than that, that's all the fluids I had. But I had my fuel. I had my sandwiches, and I had plenty of calories for the day, and it was 111 miles, and I hammered the last climb. So it's not like, oh my God, I ran out of energy. I know how to fuel myself at this point. So I hope that helps with the confusion of bottles in the 55 Ritchie with a frame pump. And this has a sloping top tube, so that's why you can see a little bit close here. But again, that's just not a problem because I'm not going to be accessing this one all the time to drink out of. This one's my primary drinking bottle, and there's no problem getting it out. And then lastly, someone said, oh, well, what about a side loader cage? What are your thoughts on side loader cages? I think they're awesome. If you have a small frame, it allows you to get the bottle in and out. But the challenge with this rear this rear bottle is it doesn't matter if it's a side loader or not. The bottle's just too tall. So you can't reduce the height of the bottle. You just are increasing the accessibility getting it in and out. And if you only have, like, let's say this much space to go up, then the side loader makes sense because you're going this way. But when the top tube is right there, it doesn't work. So I use 2 different bottles on that bike and on this bike. Boom. Now, this is what I do. I just don't need to drink that much. We like to ride long distances without stopping. Time off the bike is time you never get back. You decide what you want to do, keep your hydration levels the way you want, use whatever bottles you want, stop as often as you want. But I've trained Lori and anyone else that rides with me, Lori, Barbara, whatever, people that are, oh, I can't go that far. We need to stop it. Just relax, don't panic, keep rolling. You'll be fine. And we keep doing it. And we get up to 100 milers without stopping for fluids. And we get up to 150 milers without stopping for fluids. You can get there, right? But I'm not giving medical advice. And that's just something you have to do for yourself. And the reason I mention that is because a gentleman said, oh, at PBP, you won't need large bottles because there'll be a lot as well, or there are people that are giving, I guess, support along the way, but your controls are 100 kilometers, and so, 62 miles. So that's fairly easy. It just depends. It's August, so it could be hot as the dickens, right? But here in San Diego, I don't know where else it applies. But we have what's called EPP, Electronic Proof of Passage. So when we're doing these brevets, we don't have to stop at a control because our Strava file shows that we rode right by the control. In the past, in my day, you had a brevet card and you had to stop at every control and have it signed if it was a manned control, or you would have to buy something at the store, accumulate your receipts, and then when you finished the ride at the finish line, you'd give the card, all your receipts. Yeah, I can see your timestamps, okay, and then that would be sent up and approved by whoever it does, right? I guess RUSA, Randonneurs USA. But now we don't have to do that. So if there's a control at mile 30 something, we're not stopping. If there's a control at mile 60 something, unless we've done a hellacious amount of climbing and it's 90 something degrees, we don't have to stop at 60 miles. So I appreciate that tip about PBP, because this is a complete learning experience of what to, I don't know what to expect. So anyone who's done PBP, please make lots of comments, and we're going to continue on this series of my road to PBP. But I just wanted to say, we like riding longer distances between stops. So, okay, that's all for today. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.